Hoops New Mexico Basketball Courts is coming to Albuquerque soon. 10 full basketball courts and a whole lot more. For more information, contact Dan Serrano at hoopsnm@aybl.com.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show. Special guest today is Phil Casals, Executive Director, Educational Foundation. And this has become a yearly thing. It's actually fun. I don't get to talk to you. We get busy and we say we're going to talk, but it's kind of nice just to have you come in.
Well, it's nice to be here. You know, with a big shot like yourself. You know, it's always hard to get an audience with you. So you know, we have to double book it and make sure it works out.
Well, Phil, we're actually ahead of schedule because last time we waited like too late because everything was sold out, and I was like, this time we're on top of it a little bit better.
That's great. That's great. With the Superintendent's Cup will be played at Sandia Golf Club on the north end of town on July 17th. It's probably the APS Superintendent's Cup now has become really one of the top 2 or 3 benefit tournaments in the city. It's we're usually booked solid by the time we tee off that day. In fact, our morning flight's already sold out, but the afternoon
flight. You can look
flight,
up there right there. It's got all the stuff.
You got the whole thing right there.
I'm prepared for you, man. Phil Casals comes in, and I'm taking care of you.
My goodness, I don't know. You know, if this is going to be this way, we might have to give you the Superintendent's Cup if you're gonna be this ready. I mean, I can't wait to see your golf game, but we're really excited about it. The tournament really started very small, actually, about 6 years ago, and has really grown. I think there's a lot of people that like to be part of it, mostly because I think they just have a good feeling about wanting to help public education. Some of the things that we do to try to help, we grant a lot of money back into the district for individual classroom, teacher projects, and we also do some school-wide grants that are fairly large in size.
Well, I tell you, I put it in last year, and it's well put together. I mean, and there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, there's a lot of people that work. I mean, just besides yourself. I mean, you're kind of the front leader, but the guys working behind the scenes.
Well, I've got a great and small staff. I've got the woman who really works really hard at is a young lady named Lauren McConnell, and she's really sort of makes a lot of that happen. John Dufay of the APS Maintenance and Operations Department, he is sort of the tournament director, really is a great hand. Then we have a lot of volunteers. We'll have volunteers from this year. Our volunteers are going to be from West Mesa High School, the ROTC at junior ROTC at West Mesa. They'll be helping, and we'll have a lot of other folks from APS that are there. And the superintendent promises that she's going to come and grade some swings. So I don't know if you get a C.
Well, you know what? They missed me last year. I didn't get graded. I didn't grade. So it was
I'm sure your teachers at Clovis and at the University of New Mexico are glad about that.
You know what? I put money out there not to get graded. No. It was really funny that somehow there was like 2 teams going to the tee box or something like that, or whatever, and she just
she missed you.
Missed us. So.
I told her to go easy on you, even if she did see you. So I'm glad she missed you. But this year you don't get to opt out of this test here, okay, buddy? No opting out.
Well, I'll surprise you. I mean, I'm not fundamentally sound, but I do, I know my limitations, and that's one thing a lot about golf. If you know your limitations and you know what you can do, most people try to do something they can't do, and I just keep it right in the right place.
The only thing I really know about my golf swing is what I can't do. So, I mean, my limitations are limitless. So I don't know. So,
but I do have the coaching experience. I do have and let me explain this. I know how to recruit. Okay, so that. When you look at, last year we almost, I think we got like 2nd or 3rd place. I mean, and the team that beat us, I didn't even get to tell you this, but the team that beat us, they were actually in front of us, and we actually got to watch them. It was unbelievable.
Were they cheating?
No,
they didn't cheat?
No, it was because we were like, we were like watching. We're going, this team here is actually, because we couldn't beat what they were doing in front of us, or we had tied what they were doing. So it was kind of like they were number one and we were number two, but we actually got to see them beat us, and we were actually competing against that group.
That's actually a lot of fun when you play like that, and you can sort of see get an idea what the folks around you are doing and all of that. We've got a lot of good golfers in this town, and a lot of them play. And it has gotten to the point where it's competitive enough to where I see super teams. It's almost like they're always trying to recruit Durant to play for they think they've got the Warriors and they want to go ahead and recruit Durant to play golf for them. So we've got we'll have mostly what we try to do is have fun. I mean, it is fun.
That was the main thing. But it was actually, for a guy like myself that's competitive and likes to do it, it was fun to see. And then we were trying. I mean, it was like our game got better because we knew if we were going to have any chance of winning, we were watching, and it was amazing. They hit some shots that was, it just seemed like we were always like the hill above and watching them on the green or whatever it was, and they were hitting putts from everywhere, and it was fun to watch.
We have.
So I didn't mind losing.
You didn't mind losing? Well, I tell you what, that's not what you said that last year. You were a little.
Yeah, I thought I was going to come in and get some big time prizes, and but anyway, no, it was. But 3 years ago we won it. I got it in my. I should have just pulled that out there, Dale.
I'm gonna. You know what?
And you gave me a hard time. You just beat me up when you were doing that. You don't even remember that. So.
Well, I don't want to make you feel bad, but I think we need to. I think from now on we're going to have a course marshal follow you around and make sure on those scores. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's okay. That'd be great. I mean, that'd be awesome. We showed it, and then you know what?
You got nothing to hide.
I have nothing to hide.
I have nothing to hide.
I'll bring that challenge on.
I'm willing to talk to the investigators. I have nothing to hide. Okay, I got you. All right. No, it's funny, Steve, because we when the tournament started, we were at the South course at UNM, the championship course, and it has just continued to grow. And people like yourself who really believe in public education said we want to be part of it. And so we have a lot of players. We have a lot of businesses in town that want to play part of it. We're going to have a silent auction of some really cool things, some trips to go see, Diamondback games, or go see the Rockies, or maybe go to LA. So we'll have trips that you can actually start bidding as we get closer to the tournament online, and then all of our golfers can bid as well with their cell phones. So it'll be a little bit of fun. I mean, I don't want to distract you from that awesome short game of yours, but if you ever find a trip that you may need to take, you can probably bid on that while you're playing.
Well, I tell you, it's. I just concentrate on golf. I can't multitask. You know what? That old thing. I can't chew bubble gum and play basketball. That was the same thing. When I go out there, I get my game face on.
Goodness. I've seen your game face. That's. I hope the cameras aren't on you on that one.
Well, they broke a few. Okay.
There you go. There you go. So we're excited about it. We have a lot of people in the community. We have a lot of people who really care about kids and what the schools do. And so the foundation has been really excited to be a part of that. We've had a really good year. This year we'll probably have put more than $500,000 into individual classroom grants and school grants. And in the less than 2 years, we'll have put more than $1 million back in the district, which is by far a record for the APS Foundation. That's something that probably would not have been conceivable even 3-4 years ago. So it's not enough. It's not anywhere close to where I want to be. But it's like your coaches and my coaches probably said, anytime you have success, you got to be grateful for the success and try to build on that, and that's what we're going to try to do.
Well, I was just thinking about this. I mean, who would have ever thought? I mean, let's just put it this way. You yourself, did you ever think, growing up in your life, you'd be in this position? I mean, from what, because, you're a writer, you've done things, and all of a sudden you've been put into this, and kind of, I never really asked you that question, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot. I mean,
I never really did. 10 years ago, 10 years ago I was an editor of the Albuquerque Tribune, and 9 years ago I was the senior editor for local news at a large newspaper in Denver. And I really thought I would finish my life and career as a newspaperman, as a journalist. And things change. You know, the newspaper business has gone through a lot of changes. The thing
social media's changed.
Everything's changed, yeah. And you know what's interesting to me is what I didn't know. You didn't know. Did I know I was going to work for the APS Foundation? Of course not. It really hadn't been a thought in my head. But what I'm grateful for is all my background in prior parts of my life allowed me to really be prepared for this job. Because when you work for the APS Foundation, if you spend a lot of time in newspapers, and I spend a lot of time in sports, I spend a lot of time in news, when you do that, you get to know a lot of different people in a lot of different walks of life.
Isn't it amazing how many people you just...
It's amazing. So I can go, if I go to Valley High School, Joe Coleman, I covered Joe Coleman when he was 15 years old at Valley High. And it's always...
You're dating yourself now.
No, I know, that's a long...
I didn't think you were... I didn't think you were over 21 myself.
Coleman is still young, but Coleman and I still have the same...
Or you're dating him.
Yeah, he's old. Yeah, he's really old. No, you know, I mean, so you know that group. If you go out in the community and there's business and leaders in our community who were a defensive tackle at Sandia, or were the student body president at El Dorado, or played football for the University of New Mexico. It all comes together for me that way, because I've known these people in a variety of different roles for a long, long time, and so it's been really valuable that way. I like people. I like that. I like Albuquerque Public Schools. Obviously, I'm an APS product. I graduated from Sandia High School. And I graduated at a time when it was hard to know your graduating class, because the time I graduated, we had 700 and some graduates. So this is a true story. About 5 or 6 years ago, I was at Whittier Elementary School in the Southeast Heights, and Lowe's was putting in a playground at Whittier Elementary. They're donating all new playground equipment, the whole deal. And there were a couple of details that needed to be ironed out between APS and Lowe's. So they're there, and Lowe's is there, and I'm talking to the principal at Whittier Elementary School, and her name is Cindy Basner, and I said, "Are you from here?" I didn't know her. And she says, "Yeah, I graduated from high school here." I said, "Where'd you go to school?" She said, "Sandia." I said, "What year did you graduate?" She said, "1981. I said, "Well, I graduated in 1981 from Sandia." I didn't know her at all, but she's a principal at Albuquerque Public Schools, so we have something in common. She's now at Inez. So that's a great background, and the truth is, and what I do is, knowing people is, I mean, it's a people business. So knowing folks is really important, and I've been lucky enough to know some really great people in this town, and what we just try to do is convince them to support. I think most of them their lean is always to support public education, but that we have a lot of good things to support in Albuquerque Public Schools, and I don't know that people appreciate that enough. And so we just try to outline that for them and show them. And the Superintendent's Cup is a little bit of one way. You can't always go and spend 4 hours at Van Buren Middle School or at Truman Middle School or at Valley High. But you know, for a morning or afternoon, you can go out and hit a golf ball, and that's just as important. That's a big part of it.
Well, Phil, we're going to come back and we'll talk more about the Superintendent's Cup, and then also talk more about your foundation.
You got it.
That's dangerous right there. Beautiful pass ahead, but Pavlet comes out. His opportunity. He's taking all of them. For both Pavlet's out. 100, but he was at Star Brothers before the contest. A deflection. Yep. There's Goss and Pavlet. Lawrence wants to make that run. Oh, there's the goal. Good look here. Luke, yes, Lawrence slots it in. Salim took it away nicely. Oh, what a nutmeg there. He's Lawrence on a run. He's got a lot of options. He's going to take the shot. Goal from Clancy. Well, maybe not. We might get another run. Tommy Ramos.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you.
Hey Lobo fans, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Samantha.
Jaguar Land Rover Albuquerque has been a family-owned business since 1988. The 2017 Jaguar F-Pace has been named the winner of the 2017 World Car of the Year and World Car Design of the Year.
Land Rover's signature terrain response system is flawless against any curveball New Mexico weather can throw at you.
We have a class-leading extended warranty on all Jags and Land Rovers and one of the greatest pre-owned inventories in the state of New Mexico.
Call 505-797-3600 to schedule a test drive.
Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you. Visit the Frontier Restaurant. Due to heavy construction on Central, take lead or coal coming north or south. The Frontier Restaurant. Get your Frontier fix on. Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but two great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We got Phil Casals, and Phil, again, I want to thank you for coming. I know you're busy and dealing. When I called you, you said let's get this on, and I appreciate that, and I think this time is timing because, as you know, you work on many things. It just seems like this was like yesterday when we were sitting here, and now it's we're a month away from the reality of it's getting to be one of the biggest golf tournaments in the city.
It is, and it's like everything, it's got a ways to go as well.
I know you're not satisfied with it, but I'm just saying but to see it grow and grow and get the response that you're getting.
It's gratifying. I mean, I won't kid you. It's been really gratifying to see people get into it and get excited about it and look forward to it. But that is part of, we looked at the golf tournament and we look at all of our events as sort of just another step in evolving the foundation so that if you want to support Albuquerque Public Schools, that here's a great avenue to support through the APS Foundation. And so when I first got there, we probably didn't have the public stature that anybody would want it, but we don't have it now, by the way. Nobody who works in a nonprofit will tell you that I've got enough people who know about me. We don't, and no nonprofit will tell you that. But we've made some strides, and I'm proud of that, and that's really due to the work of our board. I have a board of 25 community members, including 3 APS students who have a vote. So
I just saw that there's, and then you got some. I just read about it. So.
We've got 3. We've put. When I first got there, one of my goals was to make sure that APS students had a voice in this, and so the superintendent of schools is on our board, but she doesn't have a vote. She's an ex officio member. She doesn't have a vote. The kid from Rio Grande High School, he's got the vote. The young lady from Albuquerque High, she's got a vote. Young man from Atrisco Heritage, he's got a vote. So,
how do they get it? How does that work?
We let people in the district know that if you are an incoming junior or an incoming senior for the next year, that you can apply. Tell us why
actually you're applying for
you're applying for a board position. And then what we do is I get a dozen or more every year. I
thought you'd get probably more than that.
It's funny because a lot of kids they're not
activities.
Yeah, they've got a lot of different things, and the time frame is
it's pretty intensive.
It is. We have a lot. There's a lot of work that goes on with it. But I will interview all of the candidates. And then
that's got to be fun.
It is. You get to know a lot about kids, and I love talking to folks, so that's great. And then I present a list of finalists for the board to make a decision on, the executive committee of the board, and they bring them in for a finalist interview. And
what a
they
job!
Make
what
selection.
A great experience!
It is. The only bad part about it is telling kids who weren't selected that they weren't selected. That's hard. It's hard to tell a kid that, but. We have had some great kids.
But you know what? I know you well enough. Say there was 12 kids and you only get 3 spots. Those other 9 kids, you're going to find something for them. I just know you.
What we do is I tell all our students, I said, I want you to hang on to my card. If you need a letter of recommendation, you need help, call me. I'll do everything I can to help you. Whether you want to apply to Yale or you do
I'm still going to keep up with you.
I'm looking for a summer job. Do you know of anything? I sometimes I do, and so we can help kids. What's really interesting, and I'll tell you, this is the truth, Steve, is that our student board members are among our best board members. They show up, they are very prepared, and mostly they just want to do the right thing. They're not worried about X or Y or Z. They just want to know what is the best decision we can make as a foundation to help students in APS. And by that standard, you can't go wrong. And it's not anything that I told them. It's just something they have in them. And anytime you feel
what I've learned from coaching kids, okay, is the younger generations is one. They're a little bit more educated. Because of the smartphones, all the technology. They know when you're deceiving them. They know exactly. It's like you cannot. They can see
they laughed you, right?
They can just sit there and wait a sec.
You're absolutely right.
And if you come in with with just giving them advice and telling them this is why. If you didn't explain everything that they can do, they'll get it done. They just don't want to be circumcised. They don't want to be BS, and they just want to get it done.
Exactly. And what I tell people this, and I really mean it, Steve, is I think this generation is our next greatest generation. I think the kids that we have today have undergone, in many cases, certainly this is true in Albuquerque, have really had to overcome a lot of hurdles, economic hurdles, family hurdles, social hurdles, and yet they continue to survive and in many cases thrive because they are really hardworking people, and they are, and studies have shown this is the most likely generation to volunteer in the last 100 years. They are the most likely to give of themselves, and we honor that through our Selfless Seniors program.
We're seeing that even with Proview Networks. How many people, we've had some interns come in, students from, Sandia. Seems like I didn't go to, I coached at Sandia, and that's where our bloodlines kind of cross, and so I have a kind of, and I know Barker and know all the coaches, Bizarre, and it's like,
sure,
I'm like in a little fraternity, the principal. It's like, out of all the schools, I'm very close to that school. And
I think you find kids, and I think it really comes through when I interview kids for the board position, is you find kids, it doesn't matter if you live on the very far southwest side or the very far northeast heights. Kids really want to be part of something
engaged.
Good. They want to be engaged, and and you're right, they can spot phoniness from 12 miles away. I mean, you might as well just not even think about it. So they just sniff it out. So we've been really lucky. We've had some students who are, one of our former board members is a junior now at Yale. And he went to school at Atrisco Heritage. He's going to Yale. And he's a great kid. We've had a kid from La Cueva who had been accepted to the Naval Academy Prep School. We've had kids who are going to UNM or CNM. It doesn't really matter where they're going.
As long as they're
going.
Right.
And that's what makes me really proud to be part of that. And then you take into our adults, many of whom they're busy. I mean, I got big business cards, vice presidents and presidents on their business card. They give of their time.
That's why you're the executive director. That's why you got a bigger one.
I tell you what, my card should say executive director,
superintendent. Who came up with that? That was a good name.
It's executive director or custodian. I'm never sure some days. But we just have I think we have a really good group, a special group. I work with 4 people directly in our office who really, really would run in front of a bus for a kid to help a kid, and I feel good about that. And then our board is incredible. So it didn't, when I first started, we didn't have a lot of board members, and now we've got more than 20. We'll have more than 20 by the end of the summer because we've got some folks that are terming out. But I'm really excited about it, and we've gotten a lot of great support from Albuquerque Public Schools. And
I'm going to bring up a positive out of a negative, okay? And this is me intaking and not really even talking on the inside. And it was a big topic. It was the middle school, okay? Dropping athletics. What I learned was how many people were upset about it. And I mean, it has to make you feel good that hey, we're not going to let this happen. This is going to, and got behind it. And I talked with Kenny Breris a little bit about it, and he says, you know what, it was neat to see that, it was not as bad as everybody, as it was meant to, but it was a big concern and got to be a bigger concern because of what great jobs we're doing for our athletes in the mid-school.
I think the thing is, and our board will be looking at trying to put some money into middle school sports this year. In fact, we'll have a board meeting here really quick, and that decision.
But I'm just saying, it was an eye-opener.
Yeah, and I think what we try to do as the foundation is we really try to support science, technology, engineering, math, literacy, fine arts, and clubs and activities, i.e. a lot of different clubs and activities. It could be band, it could be all that, and athletics that engage kids. Because you and I probably are from the same cloth in the sense that I was an okay student, and I would have probably graduated from high school, but athletics really mattered to me, and it kept me engaged in the school. It made me feel part of school, and it made me feel, and many of the coaches that I met were really influential in my life. They were people that I could, the most influential coach or person I ever met in high school, one of 2, there were 2, but one of them was an assistant football coach at Sandia in the late 1970s. And I was new to the city. I was born here, but I had lived out of town for a long time. And I came back, I didn't know anybody. And his name is Clem Charlton. And Clem Charlton put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Don't you worry, I'll take care of you." And I remember that to this day. And he made me feel, in a school of 3,000 kids, he made me feel like I was part of it.
And special.
And special. And that's what athletics does. Athletics doesn't mean that you're going to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It doesn't mean you're going to win the state championship.
It doesn't mean you're going to, and in some cases, it doesn't even mean you're going to make the team. But you're going to learn something from all of these things. You're going to learn something in my kids were in choir. My kids learned a heck of a lot in choir. In fact, there's a lot about it. You wouldn't think it, but in choir, it was like preparing for a state show at choir was a little like getting ready to play for a state championship in football. You had to prepare, you had to practice, you had to learn teamwork, you had to care about somebody else. And that is what education teaches us a lot of times. Even if you're terrible at algebra like I am, I mean, I couldn't do algebra. Don't tell anybody at APS, but that's what athletics is. And I really am hopeful that our community and I think our board will see the value of that. Not because we're teaching kids that we're going to go beat Las Cruces Oñate tomorrow, because if that happens, great. If it doesn't, that you don't always win. But you're going to learn something that you're going to be able to take with you as you leave El Dorado or Rio Grande High School or West Mesa or Albuquerque High.
Well, Phil, we're going to come back and still talk about, more about the superintendent's golf tournament, and also more about APS Education
Foundation. You got it.
Okay.
All right.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Sure, you could get him a new car. You could also light a pile of money on fire. So maintaining this old car is your best option. Keep it running longer, stronger, with quality parts and a whole lot of Napa know-how.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Las Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all, or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, #life change will occur.
I am never getting married. Never. Guaranteed. You picked a beautiful ring.
Thank you. We're never having kids.
I love it here.
We are never moving to the suburbs. We are never getting one of those. We're never having another kid.
I'm pregnant.
I'm never letting go.
For all the nevers in life, talk to State Farm agent Michelle Rudolph or Marty Size in Albuquerque.
Hey, welcome back to the Steve Davis Show. Phil Casals, Executive Director, APS Educational Foundation.
You got it.
It takes a while. I'm coachable.
Well, it took me about 2 years to get it in my head, too.
I just want to comment on something, because you and I have, for whatever reason, we've always had it goes back, we haven't really known each other, but we've known each other. I mean, right. We know each other's backgrounds and,
sure.
and know things, and it's always fun to see, and I always hear some comments about Clovis and things like that. so I'm like, and I've been trying to hold that back where people didn't know. You just listen to my accent a little bit, you understand where I come from. So.
With that accent, we knew you weren't from Silver City.
Right. So kind of, that just makes me stand out a little bit more than, lets people appreciate the east side of the state. So I am back east. When people talk to me, I come from the back east.
Back east. Way back.
Way, right on the border. It's almost as close as you can get to the border as you can get. 8 miles. So
it's funny about
Texaco beats me out. Okay, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Barely.
Right.
You're a gateway to Farwell. Yeah. I knew Clovis really well when I covered high school sports for many, many years at the Albuquerque Journal. And in those years, Clovis was the dominant football program in the state. I think they won 5 straight state championships in the early and mid 80s.
So you know Roanhouse pretty well.
I know Roanhouse pretty well, and
who doesn't know Roanhouse
exactly.
pretty well? I mean, you look at
and you know what they were able to do, and not just in the 80s, but the 90s and beyond. What he was able to do in his career, I don't think will ever really be duplicated. I don't think you're not going to see too many high school football coaches stay for 35, 36 years. Number one. And then 2, to have the level of success that they had. And I know a lot of people say, well, yeah, you know, they sort of get it going from the very beginning and all that. It's very true. But think about it, 30-plus years of dominance, or if nothing else, competitiveness, is very hard to do.
To stay on the top level.
To stay on the top level where
consistently.
Even today, I don't think Clovis is at the same level that it was in the 80s. But if you're an Albuquerque team going to Clovis, you know, forget what their record is. You know, you got to get ready to go, because that's going to be competitive. They're going to be ready to play, and they love football. And you know, I mean, there's a lot of schools that can say those kinds of things. You know, Hobbs basketball, Albuquerque High basketball for many years.
You bring up a subject there.
Sure.
You hit home a little bit, but you know, Roanhouse, when he took over Clovis wasn't a powerhouse. Okay, it was just starting when Coach Good,
yeah.
he went undefeated in '74. That was my senior year, but it was really Hobbs was the football. It was basketball. They were like the team to beat in all sports across the state. And what Roanhouse did is he came in and put his system in and built it to where football was like basketball is to Hobbs.
I think one of the things that's interesting about what they did at Clovis for many, many years is it's not that Clovis didn't have very good athletes. They did. They've always had very good athletes. But they didn't have a lot of Division I talent. They had a lot of kids. That one of their players, I can remember distinctly, one of the best backs ever in this state, and it doesn't come immediately to mind, but he's really, truly a great player, is a guy named Darren Kelly, who was an assistant for Roanhouse for many years.
Don't tell him that. I got to listen to him. I got to see him here in about 6 weeks, and I don't want to. I'm not. You know what? I'm not going to hear that. So.
Darren Kelly was about as big as a piece of dental floss.
And you know what? His son is playing right now.
Well, if he's half as good as his dad, he's going to be a pretty good player. But they were just able to take a 5'9", 160-pound kid, and Kelly wasn't even that big, take a guy that big and be a very good high school football player. That is a hard thing to do. It's one thing to do it 1 year. You might have a great kid, you might do a great job, but do it for 35 years? That's saying something. So I have a great deal of respect for Roanhouse. He's one of the funniest quotes in the business, one of the most open guys you'll ever meet, one of the most honest people you'll ever meet when it comes to telling you how he feels about his team and how he feels about somebody else's team. So, you know, he lasted the test of time. How many coaches did they have at the APS schools combined in the time it only took Clovis to stick with one? So, you know, I was really blessed to really be able to see some great things. I mean, you know, someday my grandkids are going to say, hey, did you ever watch Ralph Tasker's teams play or Jim Holzman's teams play, Frank Castillo's teams play? Yeah, I could. When I was skinny and had a lot of hair, I saw Frank Castillo coach at Cibola.
You know what? That hits home. I just had, you know, dinner. This is a true story, too. What are the chances of me eating dinner with Jim Holzman 3 nights in a row?
I'd like to see who got a word in edgewise.
Well, Mary Lois.
Mary Lois
got. So it was. That was. But I'm saying that it was, and it was all. You know, I went to the Barley Room, and he's watching the Texas game, and we sit down and talk. And then these are all my sponsors or whatever. Sure. And he's out. He's such a great man. He knows who my sponsors is, and he goes out and he goes and sits and goes. And so the next night it was Mykonos. He's sitting there.
He is.
Yeah, and I'm like, I walk in, and he says, hey, let's eat. And so then next night it was right downtown, Lindy's, right over here, Lindy's. I'm like, and it wasn't planned. I was just like, I was just going these places, and here's Jim Holzman. So
you guys like our life. You guys ought to be on the Food Network. You guys could do a food tour of Albuquerque.
You know what? That would be that. You know what? That's something that I am thinking of doing. So
here's the funniest part about that whole thing is if it were me, I wouldn't want to talk to either one of you two. I'd want to talk to Mary Mary Lois, because Mary Lois is the bright one in the group.
Well, you know what? We ain't disagreeing with that, okay? so how you know?
She was a fantastic counselor at Del Norte High School for many years, and my kid brother.
That's what people don't realize.
They don't know her career. I mean, and her career. My kid brother went to Del Norte, and I always tell her that the only reason my younger brother.
Oh, we got Josh. He's from Del Norte. He got a little
Go Knights.
Gave him a little love. So you're gonna be his lifetime buddy.
There you go. I mean, he knows a lot about life in the castle. My brother credits a lot of his ability to get through high school. He was a football player at Del Norte and all that, to some of the work that she did with him. And so she's in every single way, except in notoriety, Jim Holzman's equal. And I think she deserves a lot of credit for that. And I know they had a dinner for the Holzmans not too long ago, and I think it was well deserved.
Right.
Well deserved.
It was really. What was neat? It was. Again, I want to brag a little bit about Proview. We did a documentary on Jim Holzman, okay, and then they used a lot of the clips and everything of all the state championships and everything like that, and it took me probably 30, 40 conversations to let him do that. And it was so, and after that was one of our conversations at dinner was, hey, it was so well received that all of his former players, all of the state championships. It was kind of funny. They came out and said, well, we're not going to talk about Jim Holzman's basketball. Then we're going to talk about all the other things that he talked. The first thing that came up was like a 30-minute clip of all basketball state championships. So
he's a lot like Roundhouse. I mean, to have the level of excellence that he had for that long period in a time when Albuquerque and kids and the world was changing a great deal.
And some of those things touched home,
yeah.
and a lot of it had to do with black athletes, and over the time of he went through it all.
I think he was really in a lot of ways the bridge from. I mean, Holzman learned under people like Mickey Miller and a lot of the early legends.
I'm going to tell you something about Mickey Miller. We're supposed to be talking about this, but you got me on the subject of just great people in the city of Albuquerque. Mickey Miller was my next door neighbor when I was going to college.
Is that right?
Yeah. I learned a lot from him. I used to go in and eat dinner. He'd have me come almost every Friday night. I'd come in and just sit at the table.
That group really. You talk about like legends, the Mickey Millers, the Buddy Robertsons, people who really sort of laid the foundation for Albuquerque Public Schools athletics to be what it is. Not just at a single school, but at all the schools. I remember Mickey telling me one time, he was actually in his kitchen, he was telling me his philosophy, and he told a story about a young kid at a JV track meet who finished dead last in the 1,600 meters. You've been to a track meet. Dead last at 1,600 meters at a JV track meet. Now that could be a month of time at a windy, right? The nightmare windy.
And everybody's ready to go on the next race.
Exactly. And he said he remembered the look on that kid's face when he finished, the sense of accomplishment. So accomplishment and being successful at something, even if you don't win, is part of education. It's part of growing up. And I think that people like Mickey and people like, you get started and you leave somebody out, but the Mickeys and the Buddies and even today the Kennys and that group really believe in that, and they're sort of the keepers of the flame for what athletics is and can be and should be. And yes, I covered it, and yes, I was to it. I wasn't born to it, but I really was interested in it. But I think it still matters today. It still matters to teach kids those kinds of things, because what you often remember is you don't remember the winning, you remember the getting up from losing. I lost, and I had to get up the next morning and go face that. And that's important. I mean, you and I have not always won in our lives.
Well, something
so that's
I want to
important.
correlate with you is what I'm seeing, and it's so neat to, there's always been a mixed thing between education and athletics.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been some people, the educational that are going into actually what you more represent in your foundation, the sciences and the activities and the things outside of athletics. But athletics is part of it. But what I'm hearing from you is basically you're bringing what you know from athletics into that to where they understand and they're getting better because of athletics, because somebody is that a good correlation?
I think that and it doesn't just have to be athletics. You learn the same things a lot of times in band. You can learn the same things in class. But what you really learn in education, if we're doing a good job, what we're really doing is saying, guess what? Not everybody is 100% successful 100% of the time. So what you do, this is science, right? I have a theory. I did an experiment. The experiment didn't work. What do I do now to go and try to make it work? It's the same thing in athletics coaching, right? We're going to run yellow, and yellow doesn't work against Albuquerque High. We got to find another way to defend. What are we going to do? That is education. I mean, in its simplest form, that's education, whether that's English, whether that's history, whether that's the band. And what I always tell people is public education is a department store. We can teach you AP physics, and we can teach you how to play the trombone, and everything in between. So are we going to be good at that? Or are we not? And my contention is we're going to be good at that. And we do our part as the foundation to try to help make that happen. Like I said, I don't want to kid anybody. We are not at the level where I want to be, but I'm excited because I think we can get to the level I hope we can be.
Well, Phil, we got one more segment. We're going to come back and talk more. We're going to get more detail about the upcoming event that's been very successful.
I'm ready to hit it.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters! It's like it never happened!
Altitude Sports Grill is where Albuquerque's sports fans won't miss a game. With locally crafted brews on tap and refreshingly crisp cocktails. Located in Hotel Cascada, Albuquerque residents find a staycation worth staying for. Catching Lobo sports, enjoying a beer on the beach, or wiping out, Hotel Cascada is home to your urban adventure. Affordable guest rooms, no-hassle water park parties, and much more.
Garden Sort's Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school letter jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We got Phil Casals, Executive Director of APS.
Education Foundation.
Oh, I was slipping up, man. I got too many things I'm trying to get this the superintendent's golf club and cup in, and it's demanding. You put a lot of pressure on me, making me get up early. Just for you, I come in an hour early just to do the
Davis,
show.
you're good with pressure, though. See, that's why I'm hopeful for you, because I know that you're good under pressure.
Well, let's talk real quick, and then we'll talk some other subjects. But Super. That's why we're here. I mean, it's July 17th, and it's 2 flights. Here's some of the
2 flights for a team.
The morning flight sold out.
The morning flight is sold out.
And you let me in the afternoon. Thanks a lot. So I appreciate it.
We were going to get you the next morning flight, but that wasn't going to be part of the tournament. So we got you afternoon flight, and everybody's always worried about the.
Actually, I got 2 things though. I get a lunch, dinner. I get fed twice, so this is how
advantage of this is how we attract you.
The advantage of being in the afternoon now.
Afternoon flight.
I will use suntan lotion, and I will have.
And here's the thing: is last year at the tournament, the cooler flight was in the afternoon because we had a little bit of clouds and a little breeze, and so in the morning it was a little hotter. And
there was a lot of hot air at lunch.
A lot of hot air at lunch. That was a certain executive director talking too much, but the rest of it was good. And so if you play in the PM, you'll get fed well twice. We've got some great food for you. And we'll have I think you'll just have a lot of fun. You'll be able to bid on some packages that, you can, you go to a golf tournament and say, hey, I want a trip to LA, or I want a trip to Denver. So, like I said, all the funds that we roll back into our grant programs this year will have rolled in about a little more than $500,000, and we're really excited about it. It can go as small as I'm an individual classroom teacher at Lava Land Elementary School, and it can be as big as we have a big school-wide project at Manzano High School. So everything in between is where those funds go, and really try to help individual students and large groups of students. This year our grants will reach about 26,000 students in Albuquerque Public Schools. We got a lot of students in APS, so we didn't get to them all, but we're proud of that number.
It's similar to what we do in Proview Networks. We're putting our sales package out, and we're saying we're doing 180 games and whatever, and it's from here to November or whatever. And guess what? We're only doing 1/3 of the games.
Right.
I mean, it's not. That's how much.
It's a lot of volume. It's a lot of volume. So the great thing about the golf tournament is that you'll run into people that you know, and you'll run into people you don't know, and you get to make some friends and get to meet folks. It's been a great networking opportunity for some different businesses in town. They want to know that public education sector. And APS is a huge demographic. It's not just the number of kids. We have close to 13,000 employees in Albuquerque Public Schools. So there's a lot of folks. And it's just a good time. I'm really grateful for the leadership team at APS. They go out, and so you want to visit with the head of operations for APS, or you want to visit with the superintendent.
That's the big.
You get a chance to actually meet them.
That's what's so neat. I mean, because because of APS, sometimes it's hard to get to talk to some people. If you want to go,
it's a big organization, and so it's funny because Raquel Reedy.
I'm not saying a knock on that, but I'm just saying I mean, even with you and I'm just saying we don't. I see you, maybe 3 times a year.
You're really popular. It's hard to get an audience with somebody who's as popular as you are. But
I always talk to the guys working behind the scenes.
I see how it goes. Okay, so I mean, Raquel Reedy is not a headline in the newspaper. She's a very approachable, very friendly person who really just devoted her life to education. And she'll be at the tournament and wants to talk to folks and be part of that. So I really like the tournament. I like the district. I like the people that we work for and the people we work with. And that's not just inside the APS bubble, if you will. That's people in our community. I mean, I know Steve Davis, and I know people on the other side of Central, and I know people up in the Heights and on the West Side, and it's just great to get there. They're excited about it, and I'm really excited and grateful to Proview and you. I mean, you've been working at this thing for a long time, and
10
really
years.
10 years.
10 year.
So your 10-year reunion. You guys started covering kids now who have their own kids. Can you believe that?
And here's my goal is my goal is before my lifetime is to be able to see a father-son win a state championship from the same high school.
Well,
and then have that, and then have all the games of the dad and have all the games of the son.
Won't be long now. You'll be running into that.
It's about 8 more years.
So it'll be.
I'm still young.
You're still young. You know, well, you've been able to retain your youthful glow, unlike some of us here. So you know, we just try to have a good time, Steve, and try to make it so that it is a relevant, meaningful, impactful thing for. As a former Lobo basketball coach, used to use impactful, and I used to make fun of him, so I can't believe I just used that word. But impactful way of really helping kids.
Well, let's go into some details. The afternoon flight's still open.
Still open.
So how do we contact?
The simplest way to do it is go to the APS Education Foundation website. Oddly enough, it's called www.apseducationfoundation.org. And you'll be directed. You'll give you all the stuff, all the information you could possibly need. If you want to buy a place in the tournament or a team online, you can do that. If you don't want to do that, you just want to call somebody, call me. My number is 878-6165, and we'll make it work. We'll make it work. We're glad to have everybody who wants to play.
And then let's just talk about where you're playing at. I mean, Sandia, it's as good a course as there is.
It's beautiful, and they treat you very, very well. And we've been treated well everywhere we've been. We've been at the Canyon Club. We were at the championship course. We've been treated great no matter where we go. It's a great course. People ask me sometimes, you know, do you think it's too fancy for this is public education and all that? Here's what I say. I say our kids.
Well, there's going to be somebody who's going to say. I mean,
there's somebody. I just say, look, our kids deserve the best, and we want to be at the first class. We want to be at first class venues, because there's no reason to me that public education or public schools shouldn't think of themselves as the same level as everybody else. And it took me a long. I worked at the Albuquerque Tribune, so believe me, I knew how to pinch a dollar, and I pinch a dollar. But at the end of the day, I don't want somebody saying it was okay for public school. I just want them to say it was great, and so that's our goal, and that's what we try to adhere to.
Well, and I'll speak from the private sector, not from the APS deal, and it's kind of an honor to play at that. I mean, it's like, you know, I just want to go play. I haven't played there this year. It's like, you know, I knew that like I told you earlier, I set up, you know, Proview sets up, you know, 5 tournaments that we sponsor. Actually, we got a 6th one in this year. But,
yeah.
It kind of, you know.
But you know what? You're helping, and that's at the end of the day, that's what counts. And playing at those places, and Matt at Sandia does a great job. Their staff, I mean, you know, I'm not speaking out of school. I'll tell you what, they just swarm you with attention.
And Ernie Blackstone's right there.
Ernie's there, and you know,
I feel like when I walk in there, like it's old home week.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, he's sitting out there. He goes, see, what can we? You know, they're like.
What do you need?
What do you need?
So it's very heartening and it's very humbling to be part of.
They got that new. Last year they had the new banquet area that you go from the golf cart area, because it used to be on the patio.
Yeah.
Now they have nice and
normal. No. Now you go to the big banquet room and that area, and it looks right up over the mountain. You
got projection. You know, I was actually I felt special. I really did.
It's fantastic. It's just fantastic, and so we're just grateful for their support and their help, and really everybody's, and you know, we'll do this tournament next year and hopefully for years and years to come, long after I'm gone and long after you've decided to cover the first grandfather, father, and son.
You know, we'll go sell it. You heard my dream. That's my goal, and it's been a 20-year. It's been a 10-year goal, but that's what. You know, I hear these stories. How big a story is that I have if you had a son and he wanted, and it's the same high school, I have how the school changed and how the stadiums changed and the whole thing over a period of 20, 25 years, and
it's hard to do now in Albuquerque because
because of people moving around
and all that. I always tell people, you want to go to a Highland reunion, go to a La Cueva football game, because all the dads are Highland guys or El Dorado guys or Sandia guys. So and I bet it's that way at Volcano, where you see probably a lot of those guys were West Mesa or Cibola guys, so it's harder to do now. But the city's changed a lot. It's changed a lot in our time, but I think it, and as it gets bigger, it gets more diffuse. But that's okay, because cities change, and we're in the middle of that. When I lived in Denver, it was interesting to see how Denver had changed. Even from the time when Denver was not a heck of a lot in the 60s, when Denver wasn't a big city like it is now. So you get used to it. Just get used to it.
Well, Phil, I mean, again, real quickly, this is not the only thing you do, and I want to kind of leave that up to you. You got 15 seconds to talk about real quick about all the other things you do. So.
We have a great gala event in the spring called the Gold Bar Gala, in which we induct Education Hall of Famers from APS, and I think this year we'll be looking for nominees who've had Hall of Fame careers, and I hope people will take a look at that. If you want to help APS, you can do it very simply and with a tax benefit to yourself to go to the APS Foundation. And our website, again, is apseducationfoundation.org.
Well, Phil, thanks for coming on, and we're looking forward to having a great golf tournament.
Steve, thank you for the opportunity. Bring your bogeys. We'll see if we can turn them into birdies for you, maybe.
You're out.